How humans coordinate without central control. One of the most persistent assumptions in modern thinking is that large-scale coordination requires authority, that without centralized direction, society would fragment or descend into chaos. This belief feels intuitive only because most people have never been shown how coordination actually happens. Human cooperation did not begin with governments, and it does not depend on them today. Long before political systems existed, people learned how to align behavior, divide labor, resolve conflict, and adapt to change. Those processes did not disappear when centralized authority emerged. They continued to operate quietly beneath political structures, often doing most of the real work. Coordination is not something politics creates. It is something politics attempts to manage after the fact. At its core, coordination is the alignment of human action. People adjusting what they do based on information, incentives, and feedback. This adjustment does not require commands, it requires signals. Coordination is an information problem, not a power problem. Every complex society faces the same challenge. Millions of individuals possessed different goals, skills, preferences, constraints, and local knowledge. The question is how their actions can fit together rather than collide. This is not primarily a problem of obedience, it is a problem of information. No central authority can know what each person knows. What resources are scarce in a specific place at a specific time? Which tools are failing? Which skills are improving? Which needs are urgent and which can wait? This knowledge exists only where decisions are made. Attempts to replace this dispersed knowledge with centralized plans inevitably simplify reality. They compress complexity into categories, averages, and rules. The result is not coordination, but delay. Voluntary systems solve the information problem differently. They allow people to act on what they know directly. Those actions generate signals others can observe and respond to. Adjustment happens continuously without requiring permission or consensus. Signals guide behavior without instructions. Most coordination happens without anyone telling anyone else what to do. When something becomes scarce, people notice. When demand increases, availability changes. When a solution works, it spreads. When it fails, it is abandoned. These responses do not require explanation. They are learned through experience. Prices are one example of this signaling process, but they are not the only one. Availability, wait times, quality differences, reputation, and even social cues all transmit information. Consider a simple case. A local restaurant becomes crowded. Customers arrive earlier, choose alternatives, or accept higher prices. The restaurant adjusts hours, staffing, or menu options. No authority assigns these roles. No committee meets. Coordination emerges through response. Multiply this process across millions of interactions and order forms without design. Local adjustment prevents systemic failure. One of the greatest advantages of decentralized coordination is error containment. When decisions are made locally, mistakes remain small. A product fails, a service loses customers, a practice is abandoned. The cost is borne close to the decision, and the lesson spreads outward. Centralized systems reverse this pattern. Errors scale before they are corrected. Feedback is delayed. Responsibility diffuses. By the time failure becomes visible, it affects far more people. Decentralized coordination appears messy because it allows constant correction. Centralized control appears orderly until it fails all at once. Everyday life already depends on non-political coordination. Most people experience successful coordination daily without recognizing it. Food arrives through supply chains no politician designed. Software updates roll out across millions of devices without legislative approval. Language evolves without regulation. Cultural norms spread without enforcement. Skills are learned through practice, imitation, and mentorship, not decree. Even within heavily regulated environments, informal coordination does the real work. Workers adapt around rigid rules. Communities enforce expectations socially. Families solve problems long before institutions intervene. Politics often steps in after coordination has already occurred, then claims responsibility for stability it did not create. Why central control feels necessary. If decentralized coordination works so well, why does centralized control feel indispensable? The answer is psychological, not practical. Central authority offers simplicity, a single point of responsibility, someone to blame, someone to petition, someone to reassure. Decentralized systems do not offer that comfort. They require people to accept uncertainty, variation, and responsibility. They lack a visible hand at the center. But simplicity is not effectiveness. Removing complexity from view does not remove it from reality. Coordination without control is not chaos. The absence of centralized authority is often confused with the absence of rules. In practice, the opposite is true. Rules still exist, but they emerge through use rather than imposition. They are enforced through reputation, exclusion, and reciprocity rather than force. They adapt as conditions change. Order still forms. It simply forms from interaction instead of command. This kind of order is more resilient because it is not dependent on a single decision maker. It survives failure because failure is allowed to occur without becoming catastrophic. The real distinction. The question is not whether humans can coordinate without central control. They already do. The real distinction is between systems that allow coordination to emerge and systems that interrupt it in the name of management. Once that distinction becomes visible, many political solutions begin to look less like foundations and more like overlays. What this chapter establishes: coordination does not require authority. Order does not require command. Complex systems adapt best when information flows freely and feedback is allowed to operate. Everything that follows builds on this foundation.